Pastor Earle. And Pastor Earle, thank you so much for the opportunity to come into your beautiful church, and in observance of National Men's Health Week, to get the opportunity to talk to you.
Sister Gail, thank you and your whole organization for thinking of me and thinking of Abyssinian. I'm happy to be here with you.
Well, you know that Planned Parenthood called Abyssinia home, and we consider this house and the members here a part of our family.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad about that. And our doors are open to Planned Parenthood. I'm thinking about when the event came here and someone was like, "You sure you want to have it there?" I said, yeah, we want to have it there. I don't have a problem at all with Abyssinian being connected to Planned Parenthood.
Great. Well, let's just jump right into the interview and talk a little bit about men's health. I guess the first thing I want to ask you is, why is it that men don't go to the doctor?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. I think there are at least two plausible ways to interpret that, and both of them have their own. Well, one I think may be more legitimate than the other. So historically, blacks, especially in America, have encountered some instances where people in the medical profession have taken advantage of us. So from things like the Tuskegee experiment and other instances where you have black people put their lives in the hands of trained medical professionals and ended up sometimes not making it home after the doctor's appointment. So there's a particular type of angst that I think has been a historical hallmark as to why men may be a little bit reluctant to go to the doctors. But so I can understand that. The other one I think is a little bit more mythical, and I think we really need to do a lot to address it. And that is this concept that to be man or to be male means to be so strong and invincible that you never consider the realities of how your body reacts to aging, how your body reacts to the natural elements that we exist in. So a lot of times, for fear of being seen as weak or vulnerable, or just dealing with the reality that we will not be living in these earthly bodies forever, some men are afraid to go to the doctor because they think it's a sign of weakness. So I'll reject that sign of weakness thing. I think it takes a real strong person to be in line with how their body is developing and if there's any challenges with it. But the other one about the angst as it relates to the historical relationship between African Americans and doctors, especially doctors that aren't African American, I can understand.
Well, and again, I understand the historical piece, but we've progressed now where, I mean, today with all the education, and the media attention and, all the things that's out there.
HIPAA laws and all these other laws that ought to protect us. And even beyond that, you got black folks who are doctors now, right? And so you need to get your doctor in your neighborhood, or, a doctor who goes to your church, or a doctor who, somebody who you can trust. So I am by no means objecting to, I have a primary care physician. Sister has relocated to Miami from Memphis, and it hurt my heart, right? And I was telling her, recommend some people to me. So I recommend everybody get a primary care physician so that you'll know something. And it should be somebody who you trust.
But tell me, what are you hearing, or at least some things that you're hearing from the men, not necessarily in your congregation, but from the men in your more intimate circle as to, what some of their concerns are and why they specifically don't know. Something that's not so much historical, but what are they saying to you as to?
I think that's the latter portion I was bringing up, the angst. I got a close friend who I play basketball with, a good brother of mine, and he's been dealing with some hypertension issue. Right? Just was scared to go to the doctor, or remember how when back in the days when African Americans had maids come over and they try to hurry up and clean the house before the maid gets there. And so, many of our African American males try to do the work that they probably should have been implementing a long time ago before they go to the doctor, just so that they won't have to come face to face with the type of reading or information that would remind them of the fragility of their life. So when I'm talking to my homeboys, when I'm talking to my brothers, they're more or less talking about the angst part. They're not talking about the historical part.
Well, I got to tell you this. I mean, women, we know we go to the doctor often, but we do the same thing. The week before I go to the doctor.
I got a wife, baby. I know.
I work and lose 20 pounds a week before I go to the doctor. The doctor gonna say you need to
lose some weight.
Right, so I work and get those 20 pounds off the week before. But you basically already answered my next question, which was gonna be, what was your thoughts around health care and healthy prevention.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just share a little bit about what you think would be some of your advice, some of your personal advice to men around prevention.
Well, see, I come to this from a real unique angle. I was an athlete, right? And so what brought me to Memphis actually was a basketball scholarship to the Illinois. A lot of people don't know that. So I didn't come here thinking about Abyssinian or church or something like that. I came here as an athlete. And so I was in a routine, a health routine, if you will, because it was mandated, because you had to be competitive, be able to play at a competitive level, at a collegiate level. And so, exercise was a part of my daily routine. I recommend for everybody to do that. Even to this day, I exercise 4 times a week, right? But it reminds me, what you're talking about reminds me of a conversation as it relates to prevention that my wife and I had. Because my wife was a little bit reluctant to exercise, but she has gotten into a great rhythm. She's been going, she's getting on my nerves about going now, right? Can we go earlier? Well, no, right? But what I used to talk to her about is, when I used to try to get her to go, and she was a little bit reluctant, she would say, are you trying to say something about my health? No, baby, I think you're beautiful just the way you are. However, I know that we're aging. And I don't ever want it to be where the doctor tells you, you better start going. And then you have to adjust to going, as opposed to the preventive measure is to get into the habit of doing some form of exercise. So that's what I would recommend for everybody to do. I'm not saying that, so I play basketball still 2 times a week. And, I lift weights on Mondays and Wednesdays, play basketball on Tuesdays and Thursdays, sometimes play on Saturday. I played this past Saturday in a game, pastors against the police officers.
Oh,
And people were like, oh yeah, he can play. I was like, yeah, trying to break the stigma down of what a pastor is or what a pastor can do. So, I'm all for that, and I'm not saying that people have to exercise at the same rate or with the same type of intensity as people like me who were former athletes, but do something. I heard Pastor Dr. Kenneth Robinson over at St. Andrews. When I was in seminary, he was doing a seminar with some of the students at Memphis Theological Seminary, and he said this. He said, if you can't do nothing, by God, take the steps, right? Or do something. So I think everybody should commit to do something, because I would regret. I don't ever want to meet the day, and I wouldn't want anybody to meet the day where the doctor says you better exercise or else. And you don't have any concept of how to navigate the exercise room, or even go walking in the morning or something like that. So just please do something.
well, with that being said, again, you've gone right to my next question. And
We got a vibe going, baby.
We don't need to ask any questions. We just need to talk.
Right.
Well, I hear you saying that men should really exercise, because I do believe, like you, even though I'm not as diligent as I should be, that exercise will alleviate a lot of our issues. But if you were sitting around your kitchen table right now, with 2 or 3 of your brothers sitting at the table, what would you say to them when it comes to tips that you would give them for taking care of themselves other than exercise?
Yeah, well, again, get a primary care physician.
Okay.
Experts are good, right? Experts can give you some helpful information. So if it is a primary care physician who can tell you, hey, you need to cut back on some of your cholesterol. Pastor Earle, you can't eat fried chicken every day, right?
Okay, 3 days a week. Okay.
Right? Or just so the whole moderation thing.
Right. Okay.
So I share a small testimony with y'all. What got me into the routine with a primary care physician? When I was working my first ministry job, and I was drinking like a fish. Do you hear what I'm saying? I was drinking like a fish. Right? That was my regular routine, the nightcap routine, right? Well, I didn't know that there were genetic traits in my family lineage, such that alcoholism was one of them, right? So I wasn't mindful of this. And this thing was starting to spiral out of control. I went to the doctor because I had chest pains. And I had blood pressure, 220 over 118.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they were like, do you know that you're at stroke level? I'm like, no, I don't know. Why would I know, right? I hadn't been to the doctor and stuff like that. Of course, you take physicals and stuff when you're in college and exercise and stuff like that. But after that, I wasn't diligent in getting back in the gym, exercising, all this other stuff. So that's actually what got me introduced to my primary care physician. They were like, look, from this incident, you need to modify some things such that you can get your blood pressure regulated, and so you need to have some type of primary care physician. So that's one of the things that happened to me. So I share that story with my homeboys sometimes. We're around the kitchen table, get your primary care physician, watch what you eat, try to exercise. You know, knowledge is power. So just know yourself, know your body, you know, and just be realistic, man. Nobody, you know, I know these sisters out here, you know, they still trying to look like they, you know, 24 when they're in their 50s.
No, we're not trying to.
Some of them.
We're doing pretty good. I'm
Well,
not going a day past 35. I don't care what you say.
Right. And I ain't asking you to.
Okay.
But I am asking you to be realistic, right?
Yes,
And sometimes I don't think we're realistic. So, you know, we're trying to live a 22-year-old lifestyle. This is my thing, you know. I was 22 and my body couldn't recover when it, you know, and I was more in shape or something like that, or my metabolism was a lot higher. Then there were some things that I could do and quote unquote get away with. But now, you know, when your body starts to age, you have to make the adjustments. So I just try to tell my homies, you know, make the adjustments, be realistic, you know, and it helps when you have you know, people who you can work out with at the gym and just talk about health. So that's helpful.
Well, give me a little advice as a representative for Planned Parenthood. What is it that we can do at Planned Parenthood for men, to let men know? Is there anything that we could do differently to kind of let men know that we do have services for men?
Well, I mean, I think that's just you know, don't be the best kept secret.
Okay.
Make sure that the brothers have access to the information. You know, some things that I would recommend that every person knows, every man knows for sure, and I think Planned Parenthood definitely can help the person. You need to know your status, right?
There you go. Very good.
You need to know your status. That's one thing. You need to know your status. You need to know your blood pressure, right? And so I know fire departments and stuff check blood pressure. I don't know if Planned Parenthood does it, or if they could, you know, that we can start recommending brothers to go, look, if you need your blood pressure checked, go to Planned Parenthood. They can check your blood pressure there, and maybe have some referrals for primary care physicians that are connected to Planned Parenthood. But for what I know, you know, for what Planned Parenthood does in your division, y'all doing some excellent work. That's why, you know, Abyssinian is down to partner with, you know, the Gail Tyrees of the world and the Arisha Bowers of the world, right? Y'all some powerful people.
Well, we want men to understand that Planned Parenthood is a family organization.
Right.
You know, and it says in the name, parenthood, parents. It's not just about the women, it's about the family as a whole. And I know I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the time. And y'all have heard it from Pastor Earle. Know your stats, know your numbers, prevention, moderation, and get your primary care physician.
And do some exercise. My God, take the steps, drink some water, laugh. Go to church. That helps your health too, man. Get you a good church, you know, a good pastor. Get you a good church and a good pastor. Because you know what, and I do think we should say this, I view health holistically. You know, health is not just numbers or just status. You know, it's mental health. You know, mental health is a serious thing in our community. So, mental health and spiritual health. You know, there's studies out that say when people have a working, healthy relationship with their, you know, faith tradition, with their God, it does something to their physical health too. So, I want to recommend that they do that too.
Thank you so much. And I want to say to you that I truly believe that a happy person is really a much healthier person.
Amen.
Thank you.